Hi, everyone. My name is Suzie Dawson, co-founder of Panquake.com, and welcome to our first ever public delivery meeting. I am thrilled to be here with you tonight. I have a wonderful presentation for you with tons of information and some amazing data about exactly where the Panquake.com build is at right now. But first, I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much to everybody who has been banding together to support this project. You are creating an incredible new future for all of us in times that are otherwise really dark and quite depressing. This is an amazing ray of hope. This really is a lifeboat that we're building for all of us to bring those who we love away from big tech abuse and censorship. Tonight, you are going to see and hear some amazing things about what our incredible team have been doing. I hope that the information empowers you, that it excites you, and that it motivates you to take the rest of this journey with us to deliver this groundbreaking new social media solution to the world. I'm going to screen share and get right into it with you. So by now, this will be a familiar sight to many of you. Many of you have this already as your profile picture on social media, something that I really appreciate, which is, of course, the Panquake logo. So, as you know, Panquake is coming, and you are the reason that it is coming. You have already answered the question if there is going to be Panquake for all of us. Yes, there is, because of your generosity and your amazing work spreading the word by word of mouth to thousands of people. We know that yes, we can, and yes, we are building Panquake, but we need your help now to answer the question, when? And that really is the question on everybody's lips. We're hearing it every single day. Everybody wants to know, when can we deliver Panquake? And the answer is, we can deliver it when we can get our development team either working full time and putting exponentially more hours into bringing it to the world faster, or otherwise, and if not, then we can only deliver it at the speed that our volunteers are able to work. So we are really hoping that delivery meetings like this will motivate all of you to take the extra steps to promote Panquake in any way, shape, or form that you possibly can, to make donations at gogetfunding.com/Panquake, and to share that link all over the internet, and to recruit as many new Panquake people as you can. Because if we can meet our next fundraising target that is on our crowdfunding page, we will be able to employ our developers full time, and we will be able to bring Panquake to you much faster than we otherwise could. Remember, we don't hope, we build, we make this happen, we do it together. And I'm so proud of everybody who has been so far. So now I want to share with you some statistics about Panquake. So we are now at 6 weeks since the campaign launch of Panquake.com. We have got 24 gorgeous, amazing team members working very hard to deliver a professional product with ease of use, with remarkable new functionality, and a product that respects and protects your rights, your data, and your choice. We have 5 business teams across the populated by our 24 staff members. We have our project management team, our development team who are building the product, our business support team who are the incredible people that you get to speak to when you email us or reach out to us, our marketing team who is handling PR and media, and our executive team, which is myself, my fellow co-founder, Joe Booth, Sean O'Brien from Yale Privacy Lab, and the wonderful one and only Bill Binney. We have 9 formal meetings per week, every week, everything from accounts to project management meetings to business team meetings to full team meetings. We have produced 11 campaign updates in the last 6 weeks. We have, as of today, 1,573 campaign donors, people like you who are making this happen for everyone. And our current total campaign donations are at $57,397, which is why we've been able to establish our business at all. You have paid for our infrastructure, you have paid for our setup costs, and now we need to push this hard until we can pay for full-time developers and expedite this build. In terms of social media, our official Twitter account, pan_quake, has accrued 2,857 followers already, and our Facebook page has 858 followers. We've held now 3 public events, this being the 3rd, and we have, over the course of the last week or so, done 5 public appearances being interviewed on independent media. You would have seen myself, you would have seen Sean, you would have seen Taylor, and you will see much more of us. We have another 5 media appearances booked just for this coming week. Some basic statistics from our website I think are really will really interest you to know as well. Panquake.com, in the course of only 6 weeks, has had 26,942 unique visitors, totaling 41,650 visits between them, for a total of 310,539 page views, which tells you that people really are looking right through our site and consuming all of the different content that is available on it. And our total hits is 727,762. That is a phenomenal amount of site hits for a site that has no corporate backing, no venture capital backing, no mainstream media backing. These numbers are just spectacular, and they speak to the power of messages being spread by word of mouth from people just like you who love this, who need this, who want this, and who are helping to make it happen. In terms of our build progress, our team has authored 9 architectural documents, everything from blockchain to core to network to server to all types of drilled down architectural documents that are in process right now. We have developed 39 use cases for different uses of our service that our users will want and need. Those use cases contain 82 site functions, broken different workflows, and we have produced 24 front-end mockups. So yes, we know exactly what panquake.com is going to look like. We have placed every function, every field, created mockups of every menu, every sub-menu. We will not be showing you that work until those pages have been completely built out and tested and are ready for the beta release. That's the point at which I'll be showing you what those front end pages look like. But I can tell you that they are being done by an amazing, experienced, qualified, creative design lead. And the work is so clean that you can eat off it. It is simple, it is user-friendly, it is intuitive. It doesn't require any type of training or documentation to use, though we will be providing that just out of duty of care. It is accessible. It is how I described it actually, as we were looking over our front end screens yesterday, I described it as being light years ahead from a design perspective of anything else that is available out there right now. And it truly is. We are bringing you something very, very, very special. I can give you a bit more information about the front end build. And so I've decided that I'll release this document tonight. This is what we call our front end map, and our front end map for our beta release specifically. So We have three main areas of our website. We have the login and registration pages. We have the user dashboard, which is the landing page that everybody will hit when in the first instance during the beta. You'll go to panquake.com, you'll land on the user dashboard straight away and be able to use the application straight away. You're not going to be going to pages full of marketing junk and then having to go through separate processes. You can use panquake.com anonymously and free just by hitting panquake.com from the beta release. So this front end map contains all of the site areas and the various functions that are involved in our application. So you can see here, you have a timeline, you have the ability to compose quakes, you have the ability to manually refresh your timeline, no more having content ripped away from you when you're trying to look at it. You can see the functionality that we have discussed previously, the panquakes, the thunderquakes, the cupquakes are all there. We have content filters for viewing content that you want to see, whether it's your own timeline content, whether it's those of people you follow, or even those of your followers. And also those content filters apply to our interactions. We have a very large number of interactions and notifications on Panquake. Actually, registered users will have 10 different types of interaction and notification, which is a much higher level of engagement with each other and other users than typical mainstream social media platforms, which restrict to 4 different types of interactions. We allow you to filter those interactions. So if you only want to see replies from people, you can just see replies. If you only want to see who has liked your quakes, you'll see who has liked them. If you only want to see who has included your quakes in their panquakes, then that is what you'll see. Additionally, we have a bunch of static content, the standard types of terms of service, contact information, header and footer, et cetera, and of course our help functions, search functions for searching panquake content, and site data, including trends and that type of thing. User profiles also display total quakes by the user, total number of followers, total number of accounts that they're following, and also their total reach. Other user actions include the ability, obviously, to reply, to like, to amplify, which is our version of a retweet. That's how you share onto your own timeline, is by amplifying content. To share off platform, to stack messages into a panquake, to attach images or various media to your quakes, GIFs and emojis, to report users, to block users, to pre-schedule quakes, log out, obviously, the ability to earn and to gift thunderquakes, which are the most powerful types of messages that our platform has created, and also to access the Block Explorer, which is an external website which contains all of the proofs of content publishing and interactions, so that you know that your content has in fact made it to our blockchain. Bear with me 1 second as we have a new entrant. So we have a whole language that is associated with our application, and this is terminology that you will become very familiar with in time. So of course, we call our short messages quakes. We will be confirming the number of characters per quake at a later date, and I can tell you that it is more than Twitter. As mentioned previously, those quakes may contain links or pictures or videos, or be scheduled in advance and will be published to your timeline. You have the ability to stack messages that you care about or that relate to a particular topic or event or date or time. You stack those into a panquake. Panquake, for which our application is named, is the link to your stack of curated messages. And that link can be then quaked onto your timeline, or it can be shared off platform. Anybody who clicks that link will come to a panquake timeline that is populated just by those messages that you've selected for them to see. They are presented in an accordion style, click to open, click to close, fold up and down format so that you can get a really large amount of content into a very small space, but still in a really attractive way. We have, of course, our cupquakes, which is where you get one per day. You can, in a single click, promote a user to your timeline so that all of your followers know that you are choosing that user to promote, that you want your followers to check them out, check their content out, and consider following them too. We have the Thunderquakes, which are our mass amplification tool. These are earned by users and then gifted to the accounts that they support. Thunderquakes allow people to opt in, to pre-commit to participating in spreading messages in advance. And that means that if you opt into a Thunderquake, then even when you are offline, that message will copy to your timeline. In terms of, I talked about site data and trends, we also have top 10 quakes every day, and those people get a Quake Master designation if you are one of those top 10. I talked about Amplify, which is the equivalent of a retweet. That's how you share a user's message to your timeline. The total reach that appears under each profile is the followers of your followers. It's your maximum possible reach. And that number will reflect the quality or the size of the accounts that follow you. So if you're followed by a large number of content creators with a large audience size, you will have a very high total reach. And of course, self-verify, which is where you can elect to verify yourself without having to apply for us for it to happen, without us approving or choosing who can verify or not. Any user of Panquake can opt to self-verify their account or not if they choose. Bear with me 1 second, please. So, moving along. This is our progress so far on our front end build. So as you can see, we are approximately 50% of the way along building the front end of the Panquake application. Remaining to go is really the final proofs and signups on our pages, which I was just referring to earlier, and then building them out and then integrating them with our backend, testing them. There'll be internal, what we call QT, quality testing, and there'll be UT, which is user testing with a certain group of people, refining those if necessary, and then that will be complete. This is obviously a lot more advanced in terms of the build stage than many people may have realized. However, there is a phenomenal amount of work yet to do on the back end. And in the tech deep dive stream that I did approximately 4 weeks ago, I did present our backend architectural documentation. Today, I would like to give you a little bit more detail about that. If there's 2 takeaways that I really want you to have from this stream, one, it is this fine-grained understanding that we do, in fact, know precisely what we're doing. We know what Panquake is down to the finest detail, but secondarily, we know how to build it. We know what it is and we know how to build it. And all we need to do now is to speed up that build process as much as possible. So this is the core architectural diagram that I showed at the Tech Deep Dive build, but this time it's got these little red numbers on it. And that's because these little red numbers show the pathway, it shows the order in which we need to build each aspect and to achieve this core, to complete the core build. So we are installing, configuring, and integrating the MongoDB. with the Node.js core. You see there, then nailing down our business rules, writing in our REST API and attaching to the core. And then we move to the website, what we know as the presentation layer. These are the build pathways for the core. So this is where you can see precisely what is involved in each of those aspects. For the sake of time, and because I don't think the audience will be most of them will not be particularly interested in the super nitty-gritty, I'm not going to go through every single step of this. But as you can see, each component of the core has its own build pathway that our backend developers are following in order to realize that architecture. Similarly, our network architecture is broken up into the components that we need to build out to achieve the full picture. We need to build our trust diagrams. We need to create the trust layers for the beta users, for our partly trusted 1.1 users who are invited onto the network by our beta users, for our typical users, and for our partial nodes as we describe the mobile users. Similarly, we then work on the delegation of the trust, which is the way that trust is delegated between those different user types as relates to our consensus process for the blockchain, which is the publishing authority for the blockchain. We need to build out our trusted federations and our loose federations of user nodes. We need to create our bookkeeping abilities for our trusted nodes, particularly fully trusted and partly trusted nodes. We need to create the master node, which is a constantly interchangeable connector and authority. When I say authority, this is actually a user, the master node, and it's constantly changing. Every 30 seconds, it becomes a different user according to available network resources and trust. And then our web client and the API that interfaces with the web client. Again, we've got the build pathway for the network architecture. Similarly, as I just showed you with the core, these are the pathways that our backend developers are following to build out our network. You see, again, server architecture broken down into the steps that we need to take, the areas of the architecture that need to be addressed, and in what order to be able to build out our infrastructure. And again, the development pathway that is associated with that in order to complete that infrastructure build. Blockchain, I did a lot of talking already about the process of establishing the blockchain. Again, this is just taking you through the logical steps in the order that it needs to happen. So in the first instance, we have to write the contents of a single block and then create what is known as the Genesis block, the first block on the chain. That block is then signed by a set of verifiers, which is authorized nodes or authorities. And then we can repeat that process with future blocks, which reference then back to the Genesis block, which is what creates the block chain, the chain of blocks. And here you see the development pathway for building the Pancake blockchain. And here we go. When do we deliver this incredible, groundbreaking solution? And again, it depends on you and everybody who wants Pancake, how hard we all work together. Now, I promised you that on the last Saturday of every single month, I would be holding delivery meetings just like this. At each of those meetings, I will be bringing you more and more data and information about the progress that our team has made on developing Pancake so that you will be able to track the progress of this build with us in a meaningful way. Unfortunately, what I can't do right now is give you fixed dates on deliveries of the various releases for Panquake. The reason I can't do that is because to build a delivery schedule, I need estimations. And right now, my developers can tell me this task will take 4 hours, this task will take 8 hours. But what they can't tell me is when those 4 hours or 8 hours work will be done, because they are volunteers, they have day jobs, they have families, they have all types of commitments, they have all types of challenges that they face every day, just like we do. And that is why, to liberate all of our talk and achieve talk liberation, we've got to start by liberating our developers. I need our developers to be able to work 8 hours a day on Panquake. When our developers are working 8 hours a day on Panquake, I will be able to track estimations. I will be able to build a proper delivery schedule, and I will be able to assign fixed dates to the releases of the Panquake application. But there's only one way that I can do that, and that's if we have the ability to pay our developers to work full time. We are really lucky that our people are willing, in fact, they would love to work full time on Panquake. I hear that every day from them, that they don't want to go to their day jobs. They don't want to do boring work for corporates or God knows who. They want to work on Panquake. They want to work on liberating people. But we have to be able to compensate them in order to justify bringing them on. So what it all comes down to is the dollars and our ability to raise the dollars. And just on the subject of dollars, this is something I'd really like to address actually. I think most people understand innately that software is an expensive business. I can tell you from my own experience that just to get to the stage of development that Panquake is already at, for a commercial build, would be well in excess of $1 million spending just to get to the point that we're at right now. And luckily for us, we haven't had to spend $1 million, because we have had these amazing volunteers that have allowed us to only have to spend money on the core business setup expenses, on the capital expenditure, on the registrations, on the infrastructure, and those types of expenses. And so, because we have had a free volunteer workforce, we've saved $1 million already. And a commercial project like this in the corporate sphere is a $3 to $10 million build. That's the reality of what it would take a normal company wanting to build a product like Panquake. It would be anywhere between $3 to $10 million, and it would be between 1 to 2 years. We are moving way faster because of the expertise that we have, the quality of people that we have involved in this. We have done in 4 or 5 months what another company would have taken a year to get to, and we've done it on $50,000 instead of on $1 million. But we can't sustain that build pace unless we can, and finish this off and get it into your hands, unless we can employ our people. So that's what this comes down to. Our people will keep working, they'll keep progressing those development pathways, but ultimately it's going to be the strength of our community pulling together, and fundraising to get our people on full time, that is going to get this to you in a matter of a couple of months rather than in a year. So my final appeal to you is here, and I'll just screen share again. You have already answered if, exactly as I said at the beginning of this presentation. Together, we have already answered if there is going to be a Panquake. Yes, there is going to be a Panquake, but now we need your help to answer when. So please donate generously at gogetfunding.com/Panquake and share that link all over the internet. Okay, I have here with us Sean O'Brien. Sean is a member of the Panquake Executive Committee, and he's going to speak with you just for a couple of minutes about his experiences so far working with Panquake and how he feels about where we are at with the build right now. Sean, welcome. Oh, Sean seems to have lost audio. Ah, there we go. Hi.
Yeah, hi Susie. I am having a bit of an issue here with my video, so apologies to everyone for that. Um, can you see me now?
I can see you now. Hi, welcome.
Great, great. Thank you for having me again on this wonderful day where we're announcing so much progress. I'm really excited to be able to speak to everybody and to be able to speak to how much we're sort of steamrolling through all this development, which is great. Um, So Susie obviously just gave a great overview to all of you about how the progress is going. Um, we have very insightful discussions throughout the week, every day really, about privacy and security and the architectural aspects of the Panquake application and the network. So that really excites me, and that's something I really want to sort of focus on here today. Um, the decentralized aspects of the model in both the network and the application are something that are going to be exciting, unique. I think Panquake as a product is going to put together pieces in a way that you have not seen before, which is really, really cool to be a part of, but also very cool for you to get on board with early. So the more you can help us with the development, with that donation so that we can, fund development, the faster you'll be able to see progress on the product. Joe, Bill Binney, our full stack dev, Isabel, have been doing excellent work. And our goal is definitely to build something that will be resilient and censorship resistant. The decentralized model is absolutely the way to go for that. And we want to make sure we maintain the integrity still. We're decentralized, but we want to make sure we have proof of authority throughout the network. So those two concepts can play very well together, but it takes a lot of thought to think through that process, sort of compartmentalize the pieces. So that means, of course, having multiple copies of the blockchain hosted around the world. Um, Folks in the decentralized app or DApp space will be very familiar with that. For those of you who are a bit less technical, that means basically we'll have many computers with many copies of the ledger, or you can think of it as like a spreadsheet that actually keeps records on the network. So that's very cool for transparency. That's very cool for, sort of auditability and for allowing folks to sort of peer into the network, right? But we also want to make sure we're very private and respectful of our users. So that's extremely central to the software architecture and includes not only how we plan to deliver content, but also how we're caching, how we're storing content, how we're actually giving you that user experience through the functionality and so on. And we want to make sure that is very well separated from sensitive personal information. Right now, when you use social media networks, you're probably very used to sort of auto refreshing and being inundated with all these pop-ups and opening multiple pages and tabs and so on. And the architectures of those networks sort of mix purposefully the private information and sort of the functional parts of what they're delivering to you through the network. And those centralized, surveillance models make it easy for them to deliver content, so they don't have to think about the hard problems that we're trying to solve. Um, Again, I'm just so happy that we can find clever ways to sort of solve those problems. This week we've had, several, sort of minor breakthroughs, but things that haven't seen before, and definitely fun to play with. One of the things is using WebSockets for push notifications and figuring out ways that we can do encrypted connections for that sort of notifying the user that they're getting a message or that, there's a reply, that sort of thing. So it's not easy. We need your help, of course. It takes a lot of planning up front, plenty of testing. And if you care deeply about decentralization, interoperability, federation, um, I really implore you to donate because those funds will be spent on figuring out those problems. Panquake will be released, of course, as free and open source software. That means there'll be a real public good that we can achieve here. You'll be able to copy, you'll be able to share, you'll be able to remix. And I know Joe's already looking for some community dev volunteers. So for those of you who've been asking, and we've seen a few comments, Panquake is going to use ActivityPub, which is a well-known sort of social media standard across what some people call the Fediverse. And we will have flows in and out of the network to parts of the Fediverse, such as Mastodon. I'm really excited about how the front end work is shaping up, as well as the back end. I can tell you there's not a decision being made that doesn't have fresh, clean, accessible design in mind. And for the delivery of the client application, we're currently looking at some libraries some of you may be familiar with, libp2p, peer-to-peer, right? We'll do a lot of the heavy lifting, keep our peer-to-peer topology, and also as the backbone of some other technology that's getting a lot more uptick like IPFS and so on. So that approach is definitely something we're on the leading edge of, and it's really exciting to see that come together. So as always, I'm available via social media. The Panquake team is very available and accessible via social media. Feel free to hit me up or Joe or Suzie or any of the main Panquake social accounts. And we're happy to keep bringing you these updates and showing you the progress.
Thank you so much for being here. Sean, I've just got actually two questions I just want to ask you totally off the cuff. One is you've been involved in a lot of projects. How do you feel about the team that's involved in this one in terms of competencies and professionalism?
Yeah, so the organization is key here. I've been in projects with talented people, but generally speaking, I've never seen organization to this level. And Suzie, as you know, you're a huge part of that. So the kinds of diagrams you all have just seen, the kinds of planning that goes behind putting that stuff together, delivering it through, agile development and planning all that out, that's something I've never seen. The talent's huge, obviously. Bill Binney is incredible. Just having those discussions with Bill, listening to him talk about multidimensional encryption, all these really cool concepts, it's something you're not going to find anywhere. So yeah, I mean, top world-class talent on this. Joe has been putting stuff together incredibly quickly, especially with planning the blockchain parts, which are not trivial. As you said, the back end can take quite a bit of upfront planning. And coming into the project, when you first introduced me, there was already so much that had been done conceptually that I know if I were working in isolation, I certainly would be, sort of spending a lot more. I probably would have jumped in more quickly with less planning. And so it's great to have that ground to stand on. It really means that something can get delivered, something extremely tangible. And I think already we're seeing, the fruits of that. So.
And the second thing I wanted to ask you is about the public response to Panquake.
Yeah, overwhelming, right? So free and open source projects, a lot of times sort of are quietly putting things together, but have a big bang announcement, right? They'll do some huge announcement, a press release or something like that, or they'll do it through some huge foundation. And so on and so forth. The thing that's really cool about Panquake is that it's been very grassroots, right? So you saw the huge outpouring on social media, especially across Twitter, people changing their profiles and their banner headers and so on. Even in situations where things might be being censored throughout the network, and potentially we see users being blocked from sharing stuff about Panquake. We do see that just huge outcry support, which is wild. I have not seen love for a project like this, I don't think, before, and we're just getting started. So it's really incredible to see. Yeah.
We really are. Thank you so much for being here with me. I want to keep this nice and short for people, so I'm going to wrap it there. We will be back on the last Saturday of every single month with more information about the build progress, more data, more statistics, and hopefully with announcements of having developers being brought on full time because of the donations of our very generous community and the effort that you're all putting in to spreading the word about how important this project is. So one more time, gogetfunding.com/panquake. Help us build you a completely different future, free of censorship, where you own your own data, where it stays on your own devices, and where we can have freedom of expression for all, exactly as we are supposed to have. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you again next month. Take care. And I've stopped